Adonis Stevenson will defend his WBC and Ring magazine light heavyweight titles on the 11th of September this year against Tommy Karpency. Now, for those of you who don't know who Tommy Karpency is, it's perfectly understandable because his claim to fame was defeating a washed up Chad Dawson in Dawson's comeback fight last year via split decision. That's the best win on his resume. Other than that, he has fought a couple of other notable names in the light heavyweight division. He was stopped by Andre Fonfara a few years ago, and he also lost to Nathan Cleverly on points. This is a relatively poor opponent, and it's a poor fight. Okay, this fight will be on PBC, on Spike TV. It won't be pay-per-view or anything like that, and nor should it be. But hold your horses right there, because I know a lot of people are going to want to jump on Stevenson and rip him to shreds over this fight. It is a poor fight. And people have this perception that Stevenson has been fighting bums since he won his light heavyweight title against Chad Dawson. And Kovalev has been fighting beasts or something like that. Or, you know, some people at least have the perception that Kovalev is trying to fight tough fighters, but Stevenson ain't. But I seriously dispute that at this point in time. When Kovalev was on the way up, when the pre-Hopkins Kovalev, yeah, he was looking for the biggest names, and at the time that was Stevenson and what have you. So he was really gunning for the fight then, because he had nothing to lose and everything to gain from the fight. But now he's in a different position. And if you look at Kovalev's resume since he's become champion, I would argue that it's no better than Stevenson's is. Kovalev beat Hopkins. Stevenson beat Chad Dawson, who beat Hopkins. Kovalev beat who else? Let's just take a look at Sergey Kovalev's record quickly. Mohammedi, that guy's no better than Karpency. Blake Caparello, who? These are the guys that Kovalev's beat. Blake Caparello, I mean, who is that guy? Cedric Agnew, again, who? Unknown fighters. They were undefeated, to be fair, but totally unknown and have done nothing since. Ishmael Silak, he's a little bit known, but I would argue even he is no better than Tommy Karpency. Okay, so again, the Mohammedi fight, though, that was a mandatory. So you can forgive Kovalev for that one. And then, of course, he fought Jean Pascal. But if you look at Adonis Stevenson's record, he fought Fonfara. I would argue that Fonfara and Pascal are on a very similar level in terms of ability. And if they fought each other, that's going to be a competitive fight. You may favor Pascal slightly. Some may favor Fonfara. I don't know. But they're certainly on a similar level, I would say. And obviously, Adonis Stevenson fought Tony Bellew, which was a mandatory. He didn't choose that fight. That was a mandatory. He fought Tavoris Cloud, obviously, when Cloud was still relevant. That was when Cloud only had that one loss to Hopkins. He fought Sokotsky, which was a poor fight. But again, is Sokotsky any worse than guys like, you know, Cedric Agnew, Ismail Silak, Blake Caparello, Najib Mohammedi? Is he any worse than them guys? And then, of course, Sakio Bika, which was, again, another poor fight. A light heavyweight moving up, coming off the back of a loss. The Sakio Bika was definitely a poor fight. So I'm not here to try and tell you that Tommy Karpency is a good fight or defend it. No, it's a poor fight. But what I am here to tell you is that Sergey Kovalev has had plenty, more than his fair share of poor fights against poor opponents. And when I say poor fights, I'm just talking about the fact that they're not very competitive. They're mismatches for the most part. So, yeah, let's be consistent here. And as far as who's avoiding who or whatever, again, Kovalev and his team were the one that pulled out of the purse bid earlier this year to fight Stevenson. So you can't say that the fact that both of these champions are taking on poor opposition at this point is all Adonis Stevenson's fault. You can't say that, because he tried to make the Kovalev fight earlier this year. And all the Kovalev team want to do is try and offer a HBO fight, whereas Stevenson's team are being, as far as I'm concerned, far more reasonable and saying, let's put the fight on the open market and let the networks bid for it, and the highest bidder wins, will fight on whatever network that is. That seems far more reasonable to me. Okay, so let's just be consistent. And for the record, I'm not here as an Adonis Stevenson cheerleader or anything like that. I think Sergey Kovalev, if he ends up meeting Adonis Stevenson, I think he'll knock Stevenson out. That's what I think. Okay, so let's not be under any illusions here that I'm somehow biased. No, I'm the opposite of biased. I'm being fair and balanced here, which is what some people may, I hope some people actually start adopting the same approach and being fair and balanced. Yes, by all means, criticize Tommy Karpency as an opponent for Adonis Stevenson. But at the same time, go and criticize Sergey Kovalev's opponents too. That's all. So drop your comments below, people. Do you think that Karpency has any chance in the fight? He's a southpaw. For those of you who ain't seen him, he's nothing special. Very basic fighter. Southpaw is around the same kind of dimensions as Stevenson. And I don't really think he'll be able to do anything. But if you think otherwise, drop them below. I do think Stevenson is slowing down. I think I've seen a definite regression in his past few fights in terms of his speed and his reflexes. Doesn't seem to be the same Stevenson to me that fought Chad Dawson, or even the same Stevenson that fought Tavoris Cloud. Not the same guy, I think. I mean, he's pushing 40 now, so you would expect at that age to see a slowdown, particularly in the higher, the high levels of boxing. There's a tiny split second between a punch landing and a punch not landing. The margin of error is very small at the top level. So your reflexes only need to diminish by a split second or a second before you start getting hit with shots that you would have otherwise avoided, or you start missing punches that you would have otherwise landed. At a high level, the margin of error is very, very small. So you're going to start to see deterioration, and I think we've seen that with Stevenson. I think he's, for the right fighter, ready for the taking, and that's why I hope the Beterbiev-Stevenson fight happens soon, because then we can at least begin to clean up this light heavyweight mess that we have at the moment. If we get Beterbiev in there instead of Stevenson, that will just leave literally only two fighters, two unbeaten fighters, Beterbiev and Kovalev. That's it. And the whole light heavyweight division will just be about making the fight between them two happen. At this point in time, Stevenson has lost his appeal that he had. He's almost becoming like an irrelevant champion, because all of the attention, or the majority of the attention, is surrounding Sergey Kovalev. And increasingly now, there's more attention around Beterbiev. So you've got kind of three guys in the light heavyweight division that people are really talking about. I mean, you've got Pascal and whatnot on the fringes, but it's pretty much those three guys that people are considering as serious, serious individuals in terms of vying for the #1 position at light heavyweight. So I hope they make Beterbiev Stevenson soon, and I think they will. And then that will leave us with just two. So drop your comments below. Let me know how you feel about this fight, and everything I talked about is happening. I'm out.